Let me tell you something nobody likes to hear about building wealth. It requires sacrifice. You may have to live in an apartment that isn't impressive or drive a car that doesn't turn heads. You wear last year's clothes. You skip trips, dinners, the coolest new iPhone that everyone around you seems to be buying. You may have to watch other people look rich while you quietly become wealthy. And there is a difference because looking rich is about what people can see. Building wealth is often about what nobody ever sees. That money that you didn't spend, the debt you didn't take on, the investments you continued making, and the lifestyle you refused to inflate. I know this because I was once terrible with money. And I mean terrible. I spent money on things that didn't matter. I had no savings and very little planning. I made decisions based on what I wanted in the moment instead of what I wanted for my future. Eventually, I was forced to change those habits. I learned to save, invest, sacrifice, and live far below my means. Those habits helped me retire at 56. So obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, and I'm not pretending to know everything about investing. I'm simply someone who learned some important lessons along the way, often the hard way, and then I applied them consistently. So today, I want to share 10 money habits from a guy who used to be terrible with money. Let's go. Welcome to another episode of the Leading Life Podcast, where we talk practical wisdom for leadership and life. I'm your host, Andy Zook, and I've learned that leadership is about how we show up for people, how we navigate change, and how we continue growing. Right now, on today's episode, you want to retire early? Here's how I did it. This episode is not about getting rich quickly. What I want to do today is walk you through 10 easy habits that will get you there like it did for me. And you don't have to become a real estate mogul. You don't have to start flipping houses. You don't have to build the most amazing side hustle in the world. You just got to be willing to sacrifice a little early on to have more later. That's the key. It's not about finding the next hot stock, buying some mysterious cryptocurrency, or creating 5 passive income businesses before breakfast. It's about something less exciting and far more dependable. And that's just really solid, good habits. And listen, if you can build your own company and you can start an amazing business, please do it. I'm in no way saying you don't have to. But what I am saying is there are a lot of people that have looked down on the concept of working your way up through a corporation. And I have about 37 years split between 2 companies that helped me get there, especially with the last one being 30 years. With the same company. I will tell you that my stepdaughter herself started her job with one of the biggest hotel chains in the world. She started that job by serving drinks by the pool in the hot Orlando sun. And now she's the head of finance for a metroplex of hotels in a major market, doing incredibly well. So you can go work for a company, a business, a corporation, and do well, but it's how you do it. Being your own boss is probably the greatest thing in the world. We all want to do that. It's amazing. And go for it, please. But I want to tell you, there is no shame in working for a solid company where you can start a solid 401k and have health, vision, and dental benefits that are affordable. You're planning to build a business? Great. But starting with a good company with good benefits, a good savings program is a great way to start. You know, growing up as a kid in the 70s and 80s, there was very few resources compared to now in learning how to handle money. My parents did very well financially, but really the main thing they tell me over and over again was to save. And then when I did ask more adults or people that did well successfully, how did you get into stocks and trading and all that? You know, the answer was kind of like, don't bother me, kid, it's complicated. They didn't really want to explain it. So in today's world, there are infinite ways to get financial advice, good and bad, but there's a ton of good out there, and all you have to do is open up Google and go from there. You're not going to like this, but there really is no excuse to have poor money habits when there's just such a wealth of information in today's world. And what's going to determine your financial picture for you is whether you are open to learning or not. Remember this, our financial future is rarely determined by one big decision. It's usually shaped by hundreds of ordinary decisions repeated over years. What you spend, what you save, what you borrow, what you invest, and what you sacrifice for. And most of all, whether you are willing to make those decisions today that your future self will thank you for. All right, so I'm going to go through 10 habits. Habit number 1, track every dollar. Yeah, I know that's boring, but you cannot manage money you refuse to measure. You need to know exactly what's coming in and what is going out. Not approximately, not I think we spent this much. No, know the number. Review your checking account, credit card statements, subscriptions, automatic payments, housing, transportation, groceries, restaurants, entertainment, and so on. Track all of it. Most people avoid doing this because they are afraid of what the numbers will reveal. But ignorance gets real expensive real fast. You may discover that the problem is not one gigantic expense. It's maybe 20 small expenses quietly draining your account. A subscription here, a delivery fee there, an online purchase you barely remember. Yeah, individually, they may not look serious, but collectively, they can cost thousands of dollars every year. Tracking your spending is not punishment, it's information, and information will give you control. So write down your total monthly income, then calculate your actual monthly spending by reviewing your bills, credit card statements, and withdrawals. The difference between those two numbers is where your financial future lives. The average American brings home about $4,500 a month, and if you're spending all $4,500 in that month, each month, you're already vulnerable. Habit 2, make the hard cuts. Once you know where your money's going, you must decide what needs to change. And here is where many people stop. They track their expenses, they stare at the numbers, and they say, well, everything is so expensive. That may be true, but the question is, are you willing to change? Ask yourself, is your apartment consuming too much of your income? Do you need to get a roommate or a smaller place? Is your car payment crushing you? You may need to sell the car, buy something used, take public transportation, ride a bike, or combine several options. I know it sucks, but I took the bus. Was it glamorous? No. Did it help me keep more of my money? Absolutely. You cannot insist on keeping every comfort while complaining that you cannot get ahead. Sometimes getting ahead requires taking a temporary step backwards in appearance. That is not a failure. That is you being smart. That is a strategy. Look first at your largest expenses: housing, transportation, food, and debt. Reducing one major expense can make a greater difference than eliminating 20 small ones. Do what your situation realistically allows, but stop treating every current expense as permanent. Habit 3, sacrifice luxury now to build freedom later. Here is a basic wealth building formula. Create a meaningful gap between what you earn and what you spend. So if you earn $50,000 a year, do not automatically build a $50,000 lifestyle. Could you live on $35,000? Could you live on $30,000? Depending on your circumstances, could you even live on less? That exact number depends on your family, health, and responsibilities, location, and cost of living. The larger point is simple. Do not allow every increase in income to become an increase in lifestyle. When you get a raise, do not immediately run out and buy a better car. When you receive a bonus, do not immediately spend it on a vacation. Let your savings and investments rise before your lifestyle does. Sacrificing luxury does not mean you are not enjoying life. It means you choose your luxuries intentionally instead of financing every impulse. You may eventually gain something far more valuable than another shiny object: freedom. Freedom is everything. Freedom from constant financial stress will change your life. Freedom from a job you have outgrown. Freedom to help your family. Freedom to survive an emergency. Freedom to retire while you're healthy enough to enjoy it. Habit 4, automate your financial future. Once money reaches your everyday spending account, it will become easy to spend. So stop relying entirely on that willpower. Automate your savings and investments. That is probably one of the smartest things I ever did, if anything at all. So before your money disappears into your lifestyle, direct part of every paycheck into several important buckets. Number 1, an emergency fund. Life's going to happen. Your car's going to break down. Your air conditioner can stop working. People lose jobs. Medical bills arrive. An emergency fund keeps an unexpected expense from immediately becoming credit card debt. A common long-term goal is to have 3 to 6 months of essential expenses, but any amount you begin with saving is valuable. So just start. Keep it somewhere safe, accessible, and separate from everyday spending. The second bucket you want to automate your paycheck into is your workplace retirement plan. So contribute to your 401k or your 403b or similar workplace plan. At the very least, consider contributing enough to receive the full employer match when one is available. That match is part of your compensation. I'd say most companies now do 4 to 6%. Do not leave that money on the table. A third bucket that I want you to do is, depending on your income and eligibility and tax situation, you may also consider a Roth IRA. These accounts have contribution limits and tax rules, so learn how they work or speak with a qualified professional, which we're going to cover in a minute. And then your fourth bucket is additional investments. So after addressing emergency savings, expense debt, and retirement accounts, you may decide to invest additional money, which I recommend, and that is stocks and bonds. And stop trying to guess like which single company will become the next winner. Diversify. Small amounts matter. Compound growth allows your returns to begin producing returns of their own. $10 matters, $25 matters, $50 matters. Start where you are and increase the amount as your income allows. It may hurt a little now, but your future self may someday say, thank you for finally taking care of me. Habit 5, know how your 401k is invested. Contributing to a 401k is only part of the job. You may also need to know how that money is invested. I can tell you that I've spoken with many people who were putting money into their 401k, but they never looked into where those investments were going. They didn't realize they weren't putting them to work for them in the best way. People believe they are investing for retirement only to discover that their contributions are sitting in an option that they don't even understand, or that their investments are more aggressive or conservative or expensive than they realized. I mean, 401k is a business too. They're making money. Trust me. Do not assume everything is perfect simply because the money is leaving your paycheck. Call your plan provider and ask, what am I invested in? What is my asset allocation? How diversified is my account? What fees am I paying? And does this mix make sense for my age, timeline, and risk tolerance? Those are very important questions. Asset allocation refers to how your money is divided amongst categories such as stocks, bonds, and cash. Diversification means spending your investments rather than depending too heavily on one company or asset. Your 401k may become one of your greatest financial lifelines. It was for me. So treat it that way. Check it, understand it, and review it periodically. Do not obsess over every daily market movement, but do not ignore that account for 20 years either. All right, habit 6, seek qualified financial experience. Yeah, one of the wisest things I ever heard was, do not assume you know more than people who do this every day. So there is a value in learning from experienced professionals. Your bank, credit union, employer plan, or investment company may offer educational resources or access to financial professionals. Use those resources. I cannot tell you this enough. Ask questions. Do not assume every consultation is free either. Do not assume everyone using the title financial advisor has the same credentials, obligations, or compensation structure. Ask these questions. Are you acting as a fiduciary for me? How are you paid? Do you receive commissions? What fees will I pay? Why are you recommending this product? Can you explain this in language I understand? A trustworthy professional should never shame you for asking those questions. Learn terms such as diversification, expense ratio, compound growth, tax deferred, Roth, risk tolerance, and fiduciary. You don't need to become a Wall Street expert, but you need enough knowledge to recognize when something doesn't make sense. Seek experience, but remain involved in your decisions. Advice should educate and empower you and not require you to surrender control of your financial life. And here in at least the United States, most banks, Bank of America, Truist, so on, they most likely will offer free financial advice with a fiduciary. Obviously, I don't know where you bank, but I know that, for instance, Truist, for us, they offered that service for free, and it was incredibly helpful. They will put together a whole financial plan for you, a whole financial picture, and you can see where you're going. All right, habit 7, stop financing an image. Yeah, be careful about debt, especially high-interest consumer debt. Do not borrow money simply to look successful. Drive that used Toyota, drive that old Honda, drive whatever dependable vehicle gets you safely where you need to go without destroying your financial plan. Let me say something else. If someone loses interest in you because your car is not impressive, that person is not interested in you. They may be interested in the image they think your money can provide. You do not need debt to qualify for someone else's approval. The same principles apply to housing. Buy or rent a home you can realistically afford, not the maximum amount a lender approves. A lender may approve a payment that leaves no room for retirement, emergencies, repairs, travel, or an actual life. Approval does not automatically equal affordability. This is the big thing they sell us. Not all debt is identical. A manageable mortgage is different from carrying high interest credit card balances for meals, clothing, and vacations that are already gone. But every debt payment claims part of your future income. Before you borrow, ask, do I truly need this? Can I afford the payments and continue saving? What will it cost after interest? Will it improve my life enough to justify this debt? And lastly, am I buying something useful or trying to impress somebody? Stop financing an image, but build an actual life that you can live within your means. Habit 8, never carry a credit card balance as a lifestyle. What I mean is, credit cards are not extra income. They are not an extension of your paycheck. They should not routinely finance a life you can't afford. Use a credit card for convenience, rewards, or purchase protection if that works for you, but have a plan to fully pay that balance by the due date, not the minimum, not half. This is what kills people. That dinner is over. Those drinks are gone. Those clothes may already be hanging unworn in the closet, but months later, you can still be paying for them with interest. Credit cards can become death by 1,000 cuts. Even I, in my age, still get my credit card statement and I'm like, wait a minute, how did it get there? What did I buy? One of the most dangerous financial traps is using tomorrow's income to pay for yesterday's lifestyle. If you already have a credit card debt, don't feel ashamed. Face it. Face it now. Stop adding new charges where possible. List every balance, interest rate, and minimum payment. Then build a focused payoff plan. I would attack the highest interest balance first to reduce interest, or the smallest balance first to create momentum. Whatever works for you. Here's the rule I wish more people would follow. If you cannot pay for it when the bill arrives, think very carefully before you start charging anything. There will be real emergencies, but vacations, clothes, restaurants, electronics, appearances, they're just not emergencies. Don't carry a balance to create the impression that you are doing well. Pay off that card, keep your peace, and own your future income. All right, habit 9. If you don't have a pension, build your own. I was fortunate with my last company to have a pension, but pensions are not available to anyone. They're rare in today's world. That doesn't mean you give up creating reliable retirement income. It means you start building your own pension. Every time you contribute to a 401, IRA, or another retirement account, you're setting aside part of today's income to support yourself when the paychecks eventually stop. You must build assets capable of creating your future income. And that might include workplace retirement accounts, Roth IRA, diversified investments, your Social Security, savings and cash reserves, income producing situations, in some situations, carefully selected annuities. An annuity is an insurance contract that may provide income now or in the future, but annuities can also contain fees, surrender charges, and tax implications, plus more complicated terms. So look into that carefully. Never purchase one simply because someone uses the word guaranteed. Understand how the advisor is compensated, what is guaranteed, and what access you will have to your money and what the cost will be. Building your own pension does not mean buying one particular product. It means creating a retirement system capable of producing dependable income. Ask yourself, how much monthly income will I need? How much might Social Security provide for me? How much must come from my savings and investments? How should I contribute now to close that gap? Don't wait till you're 60 to realize you never built an income plan. You are not merely accumulating an account balance, you are building future paychecks. Every contribution is another piece of your personal pension. All right, last habit, habit 10. This is the big one. And I got to be honest with you, I probably should have started with this. It's the truth. You need to treat your spouse like your most important financial partner, because they are. Your spouse is not another line in the household budget. Your spouse is your partner in the life your money is supposed to support. You can have a beautiful investment portfolio and still create a miserable marriage through security, through secrecy, selfishness, control, or constant conflict. You know, my wife and I talk about that a lot. And one thing she says that one of the biggest destroyer of marriages is finances. You know, someone spending more than the money is coming in, or they're not agreeing upon how to budget their money or how and what they will buy and when. Financial success inside a marriage requires absolute communication and trust. Both partners should understand what comes in, what goes out, what we owe, what we don't, what you bring into the marriage, what are you saving, what you are building toward, and what each of your fears are. One spouse may naturally save more. The other may enjoy spending more freely. One may prioritize security. The other may value experiences. Neither person should automatically dominate every decision. Talk through it. Build shared priorities. Agree on the major goals. How much each person can spend freely and when a purchase requires a conversation about it. Protect each other. Make sure both of you know where the accounts are, how the bills are paid, who the financial contacts are, and what would happen if one person became seriously ill or passed away. Do not create a system where only one spouse understands. Do not build wealth at the expense of the person you claim to be building it for. If every dollar is being saved but your spouse feels deprived, ignored, or controlled, that's not financial leadership either. If every dollar is being spent and your spouse lives in constant fear about the future, that's not partnership as well. The goal is not for one spouse to win. It's the goal for the marriage. It's the goal for the relationship to win. My wife is not a secondary consideration in our financial plan. She is the primary reason that plan matters. I wanted retirement, freedom, and security because I wanted more time with her. I wanted us to have peace. I wanted us to enjoy life without every decision being ruled by financial fear. Your spouse is not standing between you and your wealth. They should be standing beside you while you build it. So earn together, plan together, sacrifice together, celebrate together. That's what I want for you. And never become so focused on accumulating money that you neglect the person you hope to enjoy it with. You know, it's funny. I just got a text message from one of my peers, and they're in continued education this weekend. And we were talking about someone we used to work with who's really, really high up in the company. And, you know, I texted her, that's amazing. And I'm sure they're earning incredible money and doing incredibly well financially. But they're working 75 hours a week. And I wonder exactly what that's leading to. And will they end up, God forbid, on their deathbed wondering, I could have spent so much more of that time with my family and my kids. Here's your leadership edge with this episode. Money management is a form of personal leadership. Leadership is not only about managing a team or running a company, it's about directing your own behavior toward a meaningful future. Every financial decision is a vote for immediate gratification and long-term freedom, a vote for appearance or security, a vote for impulse or intention, a vote for immediate gratification or long-term freedom. You will not cast the correct vote every time. I didn't always do that, but you don't need to be perfect. You just need to become more consistent. That's what I want for you. Your financial mistakes of the past do not disqualify you from building wealth now. You are not permanently defined by the worst way you ever handled money. Trust me, you can learn, you can change. I did. You can track your expenses today. You can cancel something today. You can automate $20 today into building savings for the future. You can call your retirement plan provider today. You can make one better financial decision today and another one tomorrow and become a strong habit. That's how financial lives change. All right. So here's your challenge for the week. I want you to first calculate exactly how much money came into your household last month. Second, I want you to calculate exactly how much went out. Be honest. Go to the dollar. Third, identify one expense to reduce or eliminate. Fourth, automate one contribution toward your emergency fund, retirement account, or another financial goal. One thing a former boss told me was every year that he got a raise, 1%, 2%, 3%, he put that percentage into increasing his 401k. Do not merely listen to this episode today and just agree with it. I don't want that for you. Take one concrete action. Again, this podcast isn't theory, it's action. Just knowing it's not enough, but doing it will. Like I said at the beginning, guys, I wasn't always good with money. I made mistakes. I wasted it. I bought things I didn't need. I mean, how much money I spent on stupid stuff, I don't even want to tell you. And I waited longer than I should have to take some of this very advice seriously. But eventually, I changed my habits. I sacrificed. I invested. I lived below my means. I asked for help. And little by little, year after year, those ordinary decisions that were boring and sometimes painful began creating extraordinary freedom. That's the real message today. You don't need a perfect financial history to create a better financial future. You don't need to make a huge 6-figure salary to do it. You just need honesty, a plan, and patience. And you need the discipline to stop sacrificing your future to impress people today. That does not matter. They don't care really what clothes you have and what nice car you got. Take your own money seriously, not because money is the most important thing in life, because managing it wisely can give you more time, more peace, more choices, more opportunities to care for the people you love. And if I could give you one last piece of advice, don't wait like I did to start getting serious about it in my 40s. Don't let midlife become the wake-up call. Anyway, that is my episode for today. And if this podcast made a positive impact, share it with someone who needs to hear it. I'd truly appreciate a quick rating or review on whatever platform you hear me on. And don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss what's coming up next on the Leading Life Podcast. I'm Andy Zook. Remember, I want you to lead with purpose, live with intention, and keep becoming who you were meant to be. And most importantly, go out today and be the hero in somebody's story. All right. I will talk to you on the next episode. I've got a couple more money-specific episodes that I think are going to be helpful, so stay tuned for those. And really, I hope today helped because it is exactly what I did to get where I am, and I just want you to be successful. That's the whole purpose of this podcast. All right. Have an awesome rest of your day. I can't wait to talk to you on the next episode. Bye.